when it comes to the sway bar end link. And that whole sway bar's job is to keep that car from swaying back and forth. And the tighter you can make that sway bar, the better it's going to do its job. So you did a good job installing these.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you.
I'm sure you could have. And then now you've got
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. First up, we give the Summit Bandit the stopping power it deserves. Wilwood 6-piston calipers, 13-inch rotors, and a fresh master cylinder. Then it's back under the hood of Vic's Mustang, where an LS swap is in full swing. Holly intake, Sniper EFI, and not a word to Vic just yet. We keep it moving with a clean front runner setup from Lokar Performance. Bolting on AC, power steering, and an alternator, all with Ford-style attitude. And finally, we tighten up a 68 Corvette with custom sway bar end links from Rod End Supply. Strong, quiet, and ready to handle the curves. This week, we're beefing up the Bandit's brakes. Swapping in Wilwood 6-piston calipers, 13-inch rotors, and a new master cylinder for serious stopping power. It's modern performance with Bandit flair.
So this week on our Summit Racing Bandit project, we're going to be upgrading the brake system. Now, as you can see, it's already got a 11-inch 4-piston Wilwood setup on the front, but we're going to make a whole bunch more horsepower with that LS engine. So we're going to go with a Wilwood 6-piston caliper along with a slotted 13-inch rotor. That's going to give us a lot more braking power up front, and we're going to make everything new, so we might as well tackle the brake booster and the master cylinder as well. So the first thing we're going to do is put the studs in our hub. You got two options where you're going to put the studs, and there's two ways of doing this. You can use one of these cool Lokar bolt pattern finders, and they do a really good job of telling you exactly what your bolt pattern is. Or you can just take it like this, go to the back of the wheel and place it in the wheel, and now you know you're in the correct location. I've got the spindle on the car already installed, the new one. And what I like to do is keep my tie rod off the spindle so I can very easily maneuver the spindle and get to both sides of the bracket so I can get to my hardware much easier. I've already pre-fit this, so I know I only require one shim between the spindle and the bracket for the Wilwood caliper. I'm going to go ahead and install that while my hands are clean. Then I went ahead and lubed up my bearings, put it in the hub, put the hub on the car, got it all buttoned up, went ahead and put the rotor on. Make sure you put the rotor on in the correct fashion. These ones are vented and they're slotted and they have an arrow on them so that they go in the correct way. So we've got the caliper in place. The most important thing is to make sure your brake pads go in nice and smooth with lots of play. They're both in. The wheel spins nice and smooth, no noise, no problems. That means you've shimmed it correctly. You can visually see it as well, depending on where the rotor is in the middle of the opening of the caliper. You can see whether you've shimmed it right or not. Now that we've got the brake caliper and pads in place, we can go ahead and put our pad retainer in. Now the old Wilwood setup did have brake lines, but it's a banjo nut. So ours is going to be a -3 fitting. We're going to go ahead and replace the brake hoses as well. That way everything's going to fit properly. Make sure to put the thread lock tape around the fitting that goes into the caliper. Then make sure you put the retainer on the brake line that goes onto the hard line for the car, securing the brake line in place. So looking at the brake booster, I can tell it's been replaced one time already, because when I went to go remove the hardware, at the firewall where the base of the booster meets the firewall, there is a whole bunch of silicone. And so you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? There's nothing wrong with the brake booster. Do I want to open up that can of worms and cost myself time and the customer money when there's nothing wrong? No, I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and install my Summit Racing Master Cylinder. I got a new proportioning valve. That'll work just fine with our whole new brake system. So the hardest part is going to be getting the old lines threaded onto the new proportioning valve. And this is a four-wheel disc brake car, so this proportioning valve is going to be just fine from Summit Racing. Don't forget to bench bleed your brake master cylinder before you put it on. That's going to cut the bleeding process of the car in half. That way I put the bracket in place, put the master cylinder in place. When everything's in place and tightened, I'm going to go back and tighten all my brake lines. All right, we got the Wilwood Big Brake Kit installed on our Summit Racing Bandit project. Next week, we're gonna go ahead and tackle the rear Wilwood upgrade and then bleed the brakes. We should be done with that. Now, don't forget, guys, if you have a Bandit like this, Wilwood has come out with gold calipers to match the striping on the car. But if you have a gold Bandit or if you have a black Bandit with the gold trim, just like you see there, the gold calipers will really set off your ride.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Vic's Mustang is getting an LS heart with a Holly intake to match, and we're not telling them yet. With careful O-ring prep and a stealthy sniper EFI setup, this swap is smooth, sealed, and nearly ready to fire.
For those of you who don't know, on Vic's Mustang, we did a complete 347 job on it, but we have a little vibration. So in order to fix that vibration, I went ahead and yanked the engine out. We're gonna go ahead and put an LS engine in it and make it look just like the Ford. I won't even tell Vic, let's see if he catches it, all right?
I think he might know.
So because the old engine had a Sniper EFI on it, makes it nice and easy for this LS engine, and the car won't even think anything happened. So what I'm using now to make it work is gonna be the Holley intake manifold for an LS3 or an LS12. With the kit comes the O-rings and the hardware. Now it's very important, there are gonna be a couple tips that I'm gonna give you to make sure that you have no leaks and you have no issues when installing this intake manifold. All right, Julie, so when you're putting this in the groove, you want to make sure that you're nice and even all the way around.
I was going to go over it once I'm done too, though, just to make sure that it's properly pushed all the way in.
Yeah, if you see anything coming out or looks weird, looks like it's a bubble or a pimple, press down on it, okay? And then, what's very important when installing anything like this, because as you can see, these are just O-rings that are placed into a groove. So if you don't have proper lube on your mounting surface, you can very easily roll these O-rings out of their groove, which will cause you a leak. So what I'm going to do first, so that we don't have a mishap, is I'm going to remove the towels from the intake ports. I'm going to put a little dielectric grease or silicone around the ports so that this thing can move without rolling the gaskets out of place. When you do that, you've got wiggle room. Now, the intake manifold is going to go straight down in this case because we've got nothing but room. But if you have an F-body Camaro where half the engine is inside the cowl, you're going to have to take the intake manifold down and slide it into place. That's where the lube will really save your life. We have enough ports on the Sniper EFI throttle body to where we do not need this port. So we're going to plug that port. Make sure you do it either now or when you install it on the car. Okay, so because this is O-rings, O-rings have to be crushed. I did 2 rounds already, and what you're gonna do is you walk away for about 2 or 3 hours, or maybe overnight, come back, and just hand tighten, make sure, see that? I'm still going. If you let the car go and you've given it to the customer without making sure that your torque is good, you're gonna have a comeback. And when you have a comeback, you lose profits. Okay, so we got the intake manifold on. We're ready for the Sniper. When you look at it, you can tell the Sniper's gonna come right about here, but that air cleaner, that air cleaner could be a little issue. So hopefully the hood has a small little cowl to it to where we don't have to change it, do anything to it, and it fits no problem. Anytime you're doing an engine swap without knowing, it's a surprise no matter what you do. Now you can see we've got it all buttoned up. It's looking good. It's getting closer and closer to firing up. When we come back, We're gonna go ahead and put the front runner kit. And remember guys, if you're doing an LS swap, you're doing any kind of engine swap. Like I said, if you're doing an import swap and you have a 2JZ or a K swap or a B series, the Holley Terminator and the Holley Dominator will run both those cars. So if you're doing an engine swap, make sure to check out Holley.com. Now, Joey, if I'm a shop and I'm sitting here and I want to protect the investment, I want to undercoat these vehicles, and I see something like aluminum, and I'm thinking maybe aluminum doesn't corrode, it doesn't have the same effects with brine as the steel would I stay away from it, or would I still spray the aluminum as well?
Well, you get a lot more aluminum on vehicles nowadays, especially you look at Fords. You know, the bed, the whole cab is all aluminum. Doesn't rust nearly to the extent as steel does, but you do have crazy oxidation. Now, if you get a chip in the paint, it can oxidize, but even worse, if dissimilar metals like the aluminum and the steel touch, you can really have major issues at that point, because the steel is going to make that aluminum oxidize basically till there's nothing left. And when you look at these vehicles like a Ford, you have a steel frame and you have an aluminum bed that sits on top of that. If that barrier wears out at some point in time and you don't have oil on there to cut the oxygen out, the aluminum will ultimately oxidize.
And oxidizes, what it means is rust turns red and aluminum turns white. It's corrosion. I don't care how you slice it.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. We're dressing up Vic's LS with a front runner kit from Lokar Performance. AC, power steering, and alternator all bolted up with Ford style flair. It's clean, tight, and one step closer to firing up.
Welcome back. So while I'm waiting for the new gaskets for the Sniper EFI, I figured we'd go ahead and install the front runner kit. Hopefully everything fits. I decided to go with Lokar Performance to go ahead and continue with the theme with the Ford mock-up LS engine. The power steering pump and pulleys and brackets all fully assembled. The AC compressor, which they use high quality parts like that Sandin compressor. We've got a Power Master alternator, OEM F-body water pump and harmonic balancer, and a Goodyear belt. Don't forget guys, the success to every engine swap to be reliable is going to be this 160-degree thermostat. So it's very important that you guys do that. Now what we're going to do is install it, but before we do, I have a little advice. Go to Summit Racing, get yourself an installer like this. That way you can put the harmonic balancer on with low profile, not a lot of room needed, and don't hit it with a hammer because you're going to put a little strain on those thrust bearings. On this particular car, we have two sensors. One is going to be for the dashboard for the Dakota Digital. The other one is going to be for the ECT that runs the fuel injection. And we all know that the only place for an ECT on an LS engine is going to be on the cylinder heads. Drivers forward, passenger rear. So what I did, because I didn't want to go to the passenger rear, leaving me something in the future to very easily modify, I went ahead and drilled and tapped the 1/8 MPT fitting onto the top of the water pump, put my sending unit for the Dakota Digital right there, and we should be good to go. I did have to take apart the front plate so I can get the two screws that go onto the block on the driver's side installed. Then I can put the reservoir, put my power steering pump back in place. Then on the passenger side, don't forget guys, don't install the water pump. If you install the water pump first, make sure you leave a little bit of room for yourself, because that one bolt on the very inside of the cylinder head, you need room to get to that bolt. So it's very important that you follow the instructions, and you go step by step, or you'll be working backwards and doubling your time. And then as far as the upper and lower radiator hose go, the upper fits, but the opening is a little bit too big, so I'm gonna go match that with a smaller opening on each end. And the lower one, I just took a coat hanger, cut it, shaped it, got my sizes for as far as the necks go to O'Reilly Auto Parts, get myself two new hoses. Like I said, we're one step closer. The front runner kit fits really nice. If you remember before, we only had 4 bolts, 4 8mm bolts that were about 6 to 8 inches long, holding the entire front kit on the 347 Ford. The water pump, the AC compressor, power steering, alternator, the whole thing. Now with the Lokar setup, we got at least 10. 6 going through the water pump, 4 on each side. You got plenty of integrity there, making sure the front runner system will never fall off.
One step closer on Vic's Mustang. We've got the front runner kit all installed. You made a lot of progress today.
It's a little difficult, you know, but it looks pretty cool in there.
Looks great.
And I haven't seen anybody else do it yet. We've got some clearancing issues that we took care of, but like you said, we're one step closer. The next thing we're going to do is install the Holley Sniper EFI, and then after that, we're going to go ahead with the MSD ignition box.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. We're upgrading the rear sway bar end links on a 68 Corvette with help from Rod End Supply. Stronger, quieter, fully adjustable, and built to perform like they should. Let's tighten things up for the road ahead.
I'm here with Bob Douglas from Rod End Supply. Once again in the shop. This time we've got David Reisers, the VP of GSRA. That's the Georgia Street Rod Association. We got his 1968 Corvette 427 original manual car. And this thing does have some suspension upgrades to it, but it's time to go ahead and tackle those sway bar end links. So we went to Bob, Rod End Supply, the best rod ends you can get. And we said, let's make some new links so we can go ahead and install them on David's car. What do you guys think?
Sounds like a grand idea. Let's get this thing up in the air and get going.
Let's do it. Tell us a little about your car.
It's a 1968 Corvette, original numbers matching engine, 4-speed car. Had it about 3 years, restored everything on it except the engine and the transmission. Taking it on the power tour, like to take it to car shows and cruises, and like to get it out and drive it.
And that's what they're about, right? Everybody loves it when we drive these old classic cars. So we're gonna get them to do all the work. I'm gonna do a little supervising and get this thing taken care of.
We make a lot of different sizes of tubes, and in a lot of cases are used as radius rods on suspension parts. Some of these smaller ones we get to use as links or end links. So basically what we have here, the rod ends are chromoly steel, and we do these in black because we have the same thing that's in mild steel, so we want to differentiate between one to the other. So I've got a right hand thread on one end and a left hand thread on the other, and the length of the threads almost touch. So there's a lot of strength in here, even though it looks like the tube itself is very small, it's not. And these are aluminum tubes too.
Now check out this sway bar end link from the factory. 2 pieces of metal stamped and welded together. Very flimsy. It's got bushings, they're rubber, they're as old as he is, and they're not gonna do a very good job. All right, so what I wanna do is make sure that these links are exactly the same length, and you can see that the bolts going through are facing towards the inside. The bottom one's a little bit longer than the top one. So I'm just gonna adjust that sleeve until those bolts are perfectly straight up and down, and we know that we're the same size left and right. And that way David and Bob can easily install those links. So putting those new rod ends on there is gonna make a world of difference because they're completely solid. So it's gonna give a lot more stability when it comes to the sway bar end link. And that whole sway bar's job is to keep that car from swaying back and forth. And the tighter you can make that sway bar, the better it's gonna do its job. All right, we got another upgrade done on this 1968 using Rod End Supply joints. Those sway bars are gonna do their job now, being as stiff as they are. What do you think about that job? That wasn't too bad?
No, it wasn't bad at all. Really very much appreciate Bob coming down and doing that for me, and also for you having the car in the shop and doing it, helping me out. I really appreciate all your help.
And those sway bar end links work so much better because one, the original ones that we had were too short, in my opinion. This gave us some length and gave us adjustability, lots of it. And it's gonna have that patented technology from Rod and Supply, which is going to last a much longer time. It's going to be much quieter for David.
Yep, sure will.
And if you guys need something like this for your application, you want to build custom parts for your suspension, your tie rods, even your end links, make sure to check out Rod and Supply. They not only build them, but they also race them.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. From brake power to suspension precision, secret swaps to clean installs, this week had it all. The Bandit's stopping strong, Vic's build is nearly alive, and that classic Corvette just got sharper. See you next time on Sam's Garage.